All right, everybody. For those who wondered where I went, I am alive. I was just very, 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 very badly sunburned, and coming on camera would have been quite an embarrassment. I am here with a very special guest today, a follow-up interview with FairHEX, Daniel of FairHEX. How are you today, Daniel? How's everything, man?
Great. Happy to be here. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. Thanks for asking, and I just want to say thank you so much for the $2.99 donation. It really does help the channel, so thank you so much for doing that. I really appreciate it. And I've been doing well, man. Just trying to keep busy during the summer. Went to a water park without sunscreen. That was very intelligent on my end. Yeah, man, I've been doing good. So I'm excited to learn more about your project since the inception of Pulse Chain. So I guess my first question is, Daniel, it's been a while since we have spoken. I think it's been about anywhere between 4 and 5 months. Now that Pulse Chain has launched, what has your project been up to since the inception of Pulse Chain?
To jump right in, actually, it shows exactly what the market sentiment is, or what most of us conclude by logic. That means we see FairHEX is on both chains. Okay.
Awesome.
At the moment of the second that Pulse Chain was launched, our program was copied over with the LP, with everything. So that also means that all the tokens that have been accumulated on the Ethereum side since November, they have been also copied.
That's awesome.
All the dividend earning tokens, not only the HEX stakes, but also the dividend earning FairHEX tokens. So what we see is we see bigger stakes, as to be expected, aiming for higher APY on Ethereum, and much more smaller stakes on the Pulse side, opening the gates actually for a flood of very small stakers or small staking amounts. And it actually just reflects what most of us logically conclude. What happens actually? Where goes the priority? And we see hardcore stakers on Ethereum side, which partially also stake on Pulse. Not everyone is staking on Pulse who's staking on Ethereum, and vice versa, of course. So yes, actually, we were very happy about how everything worked out, and I think our stakers as well, because some people heard about us. We are a reflection token. Yes, that's just the icing on the cake, basically. First of all, we are a staking interface, or a HEX mining interface. So that means that people can stake their HEX, and to do so, we give them a little bit more, so they choose us.
Absolutely.
While Hedron minting is allowed, of course, right? So, and that also means that everyone who was mining HEX before the launch of Pulse Chain, they're receiving now dividends on both chains. So, pretty good for everyone who's in.
So,
with other words, yeah, go ahead.
That was going to lead me into my second question, but you answered it, so I appreciate you doing that. So, so basically what you just highlighted is that since FairHEX is a mining pool with HEX dividends for holders that integrates the official HEX contract, the HEX contract has been copied over to Pulse Chain. So people who have been utilizing FairHEX on Ethereum prior to Pulse Chain's launch, that all was copied. The dividends were copied, and anything associated with FairHEX with holders was copied.
Yes, everything was copied.
Awesome.
We met the difficulty with the LP, actually. Our LP was copied to Pulse Chain, and there was no interface available that was capable of fetching or of pulling the correct data. So when you went to PulseX or to the hedron.uniswap.com interface, no way to sell. There was no way to sell or to buy. We had a lot of buy requests. People were asking. Nobody, for some reason, were asking to sell, but many people wanted to load up. what happened was our price went through the roof. Why? Because, as you know, FairHEX has a principle that you stake your hex through the FairHEX interface. Upon end stake, you receive your principal back, but all the yield, the hex yield, is automatically funneled through the LP, through the DEX, and is converted into FairHEX. And if people allow us to do that, we add a hefty bonus on top of it. So,
wow.
Right, it's about currently between 36-37%. It depends
That's
which
great.
chain, depends on the staking volume on the platform, but it's hefty. So what happened actually is people couldn't sell, and they were okay with that. But what happened is that people's stakes or their yield was converted into FairHEX and the price went up. Was converted into FairHEX and the price went further up. So because every yield that hits the DEX is a buy pressure on FairHEX, and for everyone who might think it's a sell pressure on HEX, it's not.
And I'm glad you clarified that too.
The thing is that there's only one LP, FairHEX HEX LP. And what it means is that every single hex that enters the LP, that value leaves the LP in FairHEX, and the hex basically is locked in the LP. It's off the market. It's not available as tradable supply anymore outside FairHEX LP. What it also means is we are helping with this kind of LPs to reduce the hex inflation. And that's a big positive, I think. So everyone who's a hex enthusiast will have big ears right now, because it really is helpful for hex. All the philosophy of FairHEX is, of course, to provide something valuable for the holders or for the stakers, but also to be a positive and holistic contributor to hex itself. So yes, but we solved that. We built our own custom Uniswap interface. It's on our website.
Nice.
Yes. And everyone can trade, and that's fine so far. So we traded. And most stakers involved.
Sorry.
Please go ahead.
No. All I was going to say was that's incredible. You created your own Uniswap your own Uniswap oriented interface. I think that's really incredible, because when people utilize a protocol, they want to be familiarized, in my opinion, with pre-existing projects that they have used in the past. Many people are very trepidatious to utilize new projects that they don't see any familiarity with. And FairHEX is one of those projects that I've noticed has paid very much homage to HEX without taking much economic mass, if at all, away from HEX as a result of its incentivized structure of this protocol.
Yes, that's true. Actually, we experienced an adoption rate or level of, in total, 240-ish million HEX have been staked until now through FairHEX. Currently, on Ethereum, and might be around 40-ish on Ethereum on Pulse until now. So since the launch of Pulse. So what we see is that, yes, we have a very big staker of 25 million HEX, but we have roughly between 40-ish to 50-ish million on the Ethereum side being staked at all times. And we have around close to 35 million staked on the Pulse side currently. And although it's in the nature of things that a founder or co-founder or the representative of a program wants to shield the program, I have this talk recently several times. Basically, at the moment, or since a long time, I would like to appeal to everyone to check this out. Not for our sake. We are doing good. But for your sake, because we really serve HEX, we serve Hexicans, we serve actually everything that HEX stands for. And that also means that you get a higher return on your staking. We are not taking any slice of bread away from HEX itself. And everyone who's going for Hedron is welcome. You are allowed to mint Hedron as well. And that's actually another thing. I would like to make a little excursus here.
Go ahead, please.
We see so many opinions out there. We see opinions EHEX maximalist. We see PHEX or HEX maximalist now. Where to go? What is the leading opinion? Who says what? I'm a firm believer in unity. And I'm also a firm believer in competition, because luck and solving a lack of solution is represented currently in capitalism, but it is also the nature of things, how things evolve. Otherwise, we don't have evolution. So yes, on the one hand, I'm an absolute firm believer in competition and solving problems through competition. On the other hand, we need some unity right now. We have my conclusion of that debacle, actually, HEX versus EHEX versus what is better, what has a future. I think this is very much motive driven. And we also, I think, to my conclusion, I might not be right with this, but my conclusion is that it's a sign of a huge adoption rate. We have so many new holders of HEX that are just listening to some community leaders, to some influencers, to some founders, and that drives division. And I would like to appeal for unifying all of us, because everyone is welcome everywhere almost, I guess, at least in our chat. And I would like to appeal for unity. You see, we only can identify ourselves when we have a contrast to something else. That's why we usually say they are different, they are different. It's good to be unique, but not necessarily different. And to my understanding, yes, if you have a shape and the shape is in white and the surrounding is in white, you can't see the shape. That's why it's good to have an opinion. But it's also good to see that the rest is grayish, brightish. Everything represents the white or the bright side. So with other words, we have to work together. Doesn't matter what each one's opinion is. For example, I'm on your page saying, yes, there is a staking incentive on the Ethereum side. I also see the future of Ethereum, and that the critical problem of the high transaction fees will be lower in the midterm. But however, we don't have the crucial quotient of staking volume. How much how much HEX are staked at all? 10% at the moment, 14%. You know, if we have a hype of staking, we might ever reach 25%, if ever. So maybe it is good to look at community involvement on education. And I would like to see a true characteristic or gain from an airdrop, and not a swap from Ethereum to Pulse only, but that we really indeed have a double value. Doesn't need to be parity. It is enough if there is acceptance of it, and you know, it's good for everyone. So everyone is welcome. Doesn't matter what maximalist you are, whatever good reasons you have shared with us. Maybe you can educate us, but in the center of things, I think, is unity, and we have to work together.
Very well said. I've been trying to convey this since the inception of Pulse Chain. There have been people who've taken multiple sides. Well, both there are people who've taken the EHEX side. There are people who've taken the PX side. There are people who've tried to stay neutral. There, like myself, there have been people who have trying to look at the strengths and attributes of both EHEX and PHEX. And unfortunately, it's created quite a division. It's created quite a misinterpretations or interpretations of tweets that have been ambiguous, unfortunately, from Richard. And I think that they were done deliberately for a large for a specific reason. And I do believe that it has caused an unnecessary rift in the community. And you do see that. And I do believe in the notion of unity. I don't even have to own EHEX or PHEX, for example, to understand, let's just say, even though I own HEX, I I understand that the foundation of this community was on the basis of HEX on Ethereum, but I also understand the argument now of the new HEX in the new true Richard Hart ecosystem. So I see both sides of the argument, and I try not to be divisive because I don't think that helps our cause. So I want to ask you this though, like, because we talked about how HEX dividends are paid out, what FairHEX is. I want to ask you about the FairHEX token and its utility. How is it earned, and how does it further incentivize people to stake or mine, whatever you want to call it, HEX on both Ethereum and Pulse Chain?
That's pretty simple, very simple. Even though for everyone who hears the FairHEX concept for the first time might think it is a little bit complicated, it's not. It's pretty simple. You do your HEX stake as you are used to, into the very same official HEX contract as you're used to. Mm-hmm. But you're using a different interface. Everyone or most people know this from Hedron. You're staking your HEX through the Hedron interface, and then or StakeApp or other new platforms. At the end of the day, it's the same contract which generates the basic yield. So what happens in FairHEX is you stake through the FairHEX interface, our website, you stake your HEX. You can make a test stake. Currently, we have time periods of 7 or 15 or 30 days. And that will open to one day to 555, 5 at after the minting phase is over. And I will get quickly into the minting phase. When you do your start stake transaction, what happens is that you trigger a payout of free minted FairHEX tokens. The total supply of FairHEX will be in the future 21 million, and 5 million of it can be minted for free on top of any yield, on top of any bonus, but the free to mint FairHEX tokens. You can calculate it easily. Every 120 HEX that you stake equal 1 FairHEX token free to mint. Very simple calculation. So you get a bunch of free FairHEX tokens. And what you do with this is you can hold it or you can trade it for HEX immediately. And currently, the free to mint FairHEX, when you stake your HEX and you immediately get FairHEX transferred to your wallet, these FairHEX represent roughly, not completely, roughly 2 times the official yield that you will expect to get at the end of your staking period. So that's substantial.
It is.
And that's why together at the end of the, when you unstake, you receive FairHEX tokens. That means your principal goes back to your wallet in HEX. The yield, however, our immutable contract funnels it through the LP, through the DEX, and is converted to the real-time price into FairHEX. Once it's in FairHEX, we have a value and we add 37% on top of it. So actually we add some bonus on top of it that you allow us to convert your HEX, your valuable HEX, into FairHEX. So if you want to have HEX immediately back in order to have a substantial gain, then no problem. You can go to our interface, to our swap interface, and you exchange your FairHEX to HEX again. So yesterday we had a calculation with someone. I was guiding someone through. He's pretty well known, and we had a long talk and phone call, and we did together the end state situation. It turns out, if I remember right, 466%. He gained 466% of the initial of the official HEX yield. So the official HEX yield was, I believe, 690 something HEX, and together with the bonus, together with the immediately or instantly minted FairHEX tokens, he ended up with close to 3,000 HEX value if he would have sold, but he held it. he could have cashed out immediately. We have a strong LP that wouldn't matter much. So he would have 3,000 hex. On the other hand, he kept it and he restaked it. He held FairHEX because at the moment, or in general, every time someone sells FairHEX tokens, 5%, and this is the reflection part, that's the icing on the cake only, 5%, they are distributed to A, LP, and B, to holders, according to their holder share. And that's why people at the moment also stay pretty silent. So we have pretty known, I'm not bragging, but I can't say names anyway, and I won't do this. But and I don't know all the names who are staking through us, of course.
No, you have a big community. You have a big community.
Yeah, but silent. Very silent. And it's actually a positive. That not for FairHEX as a platform. Of course, we want to grow. On the other hand, I understand every single one, because the more people, the more people join, the more people are staking, the more people are minting, the sooner the 5 million free to mint FairHEX tokens are gone. They're distributed immediately. If a very big, if Richard Hart would tomorrow say, "Hey, have a look on FairHEX," what would happen is where the free to mint FairHEX are gone within a day, and nobody wants that, because the current participants, they want to share this between themselves. So after the minting phase, I'm sure that the program will explode because people receive substantial higher bonus. It's not contradicting with anything that supports HEX, and Hadron can be minted at the same time. So there is no contradiction with any platform, with any founder. We're in peace with everyone, and people should make use of their attention span, because in this TikTok time, we have a very short attention span. We think, oh, it's a different color, we are not using it. Please do yourself the favor, verify what we announce, verify what we advertise, because we are immutable. There are no admin keys, and what we can do for you is that you stake, you get a higher yield through the bonus, plus you're minting free to mint FairHEX tokens. And as a holder of FairHEX tokens, theoretically spoken, you could sell your HEX at any time and you're still earning HEX from everyone else in the future. So we are talking about lifetime dividends, and we have some people who started on Ethereum in November, December, January. And some of those wallets, they actually received only through the dividends, liquid HEX dividends credited to their wallet. They received not exactly, but almost as much as the official yield. Absolutely. Can you imagine? That's insane.
That is massive. And I like how you said that there is no contradiction with HEX, that it pays homage to HEX and its principles. And then you said that there was no admin keys. And I want to actually expand on that and ask you, is the contract renounced? And you brought up liquidity LP before, and I wanted to ask you, is the contract renounced, and is the liquidity locked for your project?
Of course. Of
Awesome.
course. Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, of course. We have to fulfill all safety measures for everyone.
Of course.
So what I would like to mention is that, again, for everyone who doesn't know us, or the developer or the inventor of the program, because I joined as a co-founder, I'm responsible for PR marketing. The actual founder and the inventor of the program is actually an absolute developer OG for HEX. He invented the first HEX step ever. All the programs that he invented were still on the market, or are still on the market. All right. Due to less adoption nowadays, I wouldn't recommend to join there, but they were profitable, and I heard from very big names that they were very happy with these programs over time. Of course, they're saying this behind closed doors, but we also understand that we have to fulfill with every program that we are launching. We have to fulfill all safety measures. There is no zigzag. There is no. You see, at the moment there are programs out there that announce, "Hey, you get HEX dividends. Oh, you can get HEX dividends, and okay, can I stake through your program?" No, you give us your HEX or your money or USDC, whatever. Oh, so, and then I have to wait like in an ROI program for how many years, for how many months? Yes, you have a good business concept, but I'm not in possession of my value anymore. So I'm just waiting until until I receive my dividends over the time, and who knows how it turns out. Here you stay in possession of your HEX, all right? And you can, for example, also see that our staking contract is staking your stake that you do into the official HEX contract via HEXFire. So you just use our staking contract address, search by address on HEXFire, the date that you staked, and then you can see your own stake is locked into the official contract. So that's a very good indication. And for everyone who believes we could be scamming, we could run away. No, we couldn't. What we could do is we could run away with your yield, maybe, theoretically, if we would be tricky, but never ever with your stake, right? That means your principal is always safe. Your yield is always safe. Of course, it is converted into FairHEX, and if you're waiting long and the price goes lower, then of course it loses the value. If the price of FairHEX goes higher, then you increase your value drastically. So if you convert it in the same minute that you are unstaking into HEX back in HEX, then you have a one-to-one net profit. So we encourage people to try it out for 7 days or 15 days, doing a HEX stake, a test stake, and have a look how it performs. Get to know the program. Go to Pulse, use 1,000, 2,000, 10,000, whatever is does for you. Try with a few bucks only to make a test stake, learn how the program works, learn the implications, and then don't lose time and make a decision that suits you. And possibly you choose to stake through FairHEX. FairHEX doesn't depend on user growth. It works with one. So I give one very important example. Some people say, yeah, we are looking at your price and your price stays stagnant. Well, what better can happen? Because if at the moment we see a characteristic or we see a tendency with our stakers, they're not selling. Yes, the 25 million whale, he has to sell, or she, or they have to sell. Because, you at the end, you're taking in the whole pool and but we have about, I would say, guess 90%, 93, 94% of all individual wallets that are staking, they're holding their FairHEX tokens because they see the value in future dividends of HEX. They also can estimate that the price after the minting period will go up. But if there is no sell, there is no dividends. So we want to see some sells. And if there are, for example, if the price goes lower and you end stake after a fat sell, for example, the price is 2 HEX per FairHEX, and someone dumps FairHEX and the price is 1 HEX per FairHEX, that person who unstakes us next receives much more FairHEX for their HEX yield, of course. It's logic. So, and this is what the most people are here for, to accumulate FairHEX in order to have a high holder share percentage and to receive as much as possible HEX dividends liquid in the future. So I would like to see many more individual stakers. Yes, the staking volume is good or important, but I would like to see a lot of different personalities at work. Some people who are going for the instant gratification, I want to have my HEX back, and some people say, there might be more to it, and I'm holding the FairHEX for a lifetime of HEX dividends. That might be even much more. And at the end, FairHEX dividends will be surpassing all the benefits that you have from selling FairHEX right now. So
absolutely,
that's actually a part of it.
No, and I appreciate that synopsis of how FairHEX works and how it has benefited people. And it seems like people in the chat have kind of basically, they've come to the conclusion, at least the people who have used the protocol, that it has been massively beneficial for them surrounding dividends, surrounding passive income. So it's very much evident 100%. And it also is very evident in your community size as well. I saw your Telegram has about 2,600 members. So it speaks volumes that you have that large of a Telegram and you have a community backing you in that respect who do venerate this protocol, who have used it. So for the people in the chat, please make sure to follow FairHEX Twitter. Make sure to check the FairHEX website out. Make sure to check out the FairHEX Telegram. I have their links in the description if you're curious about learning about this product, because many people have used it, it seems, and many people are very much enjoying it. So I did want to ask you this, and this I would say is as a third-party project paying homage to HEX, I guess my last question to you is, what is your perspective on Pulse Chain? And since you conveyed the necessity of unity, which I tend to agree with 100%, with building bridges, being very community-focused, not getting so defensive or combative over innocuous differences in viewpoints, I wanted to ask you then, what is your perspective on Pulse Chain and the resulting cultural diffusion of different communities coming into our own? It appears we're now a layer 1 community as opposed to just a token-oriented community. What's your perspective on that?
I'd like to start with Richard Hart's not streaming.
Yes.
Actually, I think this is, to my personal opinion, it's one of the best things that can happen to emancipate the community. Because what we see not only in crypto, we see it in sports, fan clubs. They always need a leader.
Of course.
And we don't need a leader. It is beneficial for us to have someone who has the influence of a Richard Hart. Yes, that's great. But a good program has to be sustainable without the leader.
Yes,
and
I agree.
You are one of the people who are asking regularly, what's the most important for a program or for a platform, be it layer 2 or 1? Is it the community? Is it the tokenomics? What is it? And I agree, tokenomics and community. And the leader has, look, in every good job, in every career-driven situation, the assistant manager has to have their own personality. They have to rival sooner or later the existing manager. Otherwise, they're not better. So we don't want, I'm not calling for being a rival to Richard Hart, but what we have to see is emancipation, that everyone feels entitled enough to understand and to seize the responsibility to learn where they're moving. And we have a confusing situation. If we have a challenge number, if you take a scale 1 to 10, and the challenge of understanding HEX on Ethereum before the launch of Pulse was 1. We are currently in the scale of 10. We have to understand our opportunities. We have to understand where are the risks in participating in farms? Where are the benefits? Maybe to not be in HEX, maybe not fully. Maybe I'm trying to get more HEX by interacting with other coins on or activities. But what I'm observing in Telegram most of all is we have a few experts. We have a few very well-trained people who are since very long time in trading, and they're feathering everyone else like a goose. So we have people who are making use of beginners. As a beginner, I would not encourage to interact with every shiny object that you see.
Of course.
There are great products on Pulse Chain. There are good opportunities on Pulse Chain, but it's very easy to If you're not an OG, if you are not, I would suggest be careful, learn everything, take a very small part of your budget and play. Just play along and try to see how firm you are and what surprises you might experience along the way. So there are people that I'm talking about, hey, you can make like 3% or 2.5% ROI with our contract on your HEX amount per month. And they say, man, I'm making 3x per day. So, or 2x per day. Might not completely be true, but that's not valid for everyone who tries that. So be careful. And if you, and being careful means take very small amounts to play around, learn everything, learn how it works. You're not learning how to fly from studying it in a classroom. You have to fly, you have to be the pilot, and you have to make mistakes there while you're in the air. But I love the situation that we launched, and I also think there's a misconception we are in a bear market. Everyone is hiding behind that castle or this fortress. We're in a bear market. We are officially in a bull market, but in a phase one that doesn't look like a bull market, and the phase one never looks like a bull market. But we are there since half a year now. We had the indicators. We had a MACD cross in November. We had in December or January, we had other crosses and indicators. So we are officially in a crypto bull, but it's the first phase of a bull. And I don't expect explosion before next year, for example.
Agreed.
Right? So that means our expectations. And also, I don't get it. Yeah, it's an emotional thing. If something is red, if candles are red, we feel something, right? And when candles are green, we feel something different. But why? Why do we feel what we feel? Do we connect for maybe unconscious pattern of our framing that everything that's red or that is low is not good? But everyone actually, I don't get it why people are don't like the red candles. Because the red candles are an opportunity to really make you to where you want to see yourself.
Yes.
We have to come with fresh money. We have to make some money, and we need to accumulate. Because if you're just waiting, imagine right now we have only green candles. The price goes up, you're not buying anymore, but you're holding. You're the perfect hodler. What happens when the price is up there? You have to sell, right?
Yes.
Or you should.
Yes, you should take profits. I agree. I very much agree.
And what happens with the total number of your tokens, of your coins? It is diminished. Mm-hmm. But if the prices go lower, you still have a chance to accumulate. Why? What do you want to sell tomorrow? What do you want to do with it? No. So that's why I think for everyone who sees crypto as the exit strategy, instead of asking themselves, what is your exit strategy from crypto? So I think for everyone who sees crypto as the exit strategy, these people, they should be happy about every red candle to accumulate and not to panic sell, just get more, sit it out. Sometimes I receive these questions in a private environment. People ask me, so what coin should I buy? Hey, buy some Bitcoin, Ethereum, maybe Pulse, all right. Buy it, hold it for 10 years, lock it away, and when your kids go to college or university, that's the moment you can buy from maybe $1,000 that you invested this year, maybe in 10, 15 years, you can buy them a little apartment or something.
Of course.
But don't try to trade. Here in the Philippines, everyone is asking me, yeah, I want to do buy and sell. And I think, please don't do that. Don't do that with your last money. And I would like, I don't want to extend this stream too long, but I want to go back to Firestarter. You had Firestarter on recently from Ophir.
I did, yes.
Respect to them. And I see, I have in several chats also with the Philippine, with MacB in the Philippine HEX chat, we had discussions about the philosophy of what happens if you give someone a free steak. How mature can these people deal with it, and what will happen with them? And I also have in my private community questions: what happens if you get a free steak? Would you slaughter? Would you kill the cow, or would you milk it for a very long time? So it's a very, very difficult question to answer, and I think this has to do with how are you used to ownership.
Absolutely.
Right?
No.
What makes a ghetto to a ghetto? The lack of ownership. It's not for me. I heard this idea recently from someone from a filmmaker, very inspirational, and I forgot the name, Mikkel something. He was on London Reel, and I really liked how he laid it out. And that was basically, if you don't own your land, and your neighbor doesn't own their land, who has an incentive to compete with what they don't own? Who has an incentive to paint the white picket fence? Who has an incentive to take care of it? Or who is even trained to take care of it? And that's not because people are not capable doing it or they have less intentions, but it's the lack of ownership. The good example was rental cars. I mean, I didn't drive a rental car since a very long time, but you drive a rental car differently than your own car.
Yes, of course.
This, right? We have this line, don't be gentle to a rental, right? It's the lack of ownership. So I think we have a very big wave. We experienced a wave of new adopters who need to find clarity on post-chain, what to do. They are very beautiful, shiny projects, objects, and good projects. And respect to everyone who fulfills their word, their promise after their sacrifice. I'm looking very critical to all the other programs that ask for sacrifice money. We didn't, and I would say let's watch the game. Let's watch the game. Let's do our best. Let's watch ourselves, how good our own intentions are when we're dealing with our communities, that we don't have different motives, that we don't have a selfish-driven motive when we're dealing with the community. I think I would like to see HEX, because we are a HEX program. I would like to see HEX back on track on both chains. That's my personal thing. That people, after the APYs in the farms going lower, they will remember where the money is safe, where we have a constant income of money. I believe as FairHEX, we make it much more attractive to come sooner back to HEX, because we have about 3 to 4 times higher return as long as our minting phase lasts. And but hurry up, 1/3, by the way, 1/3 of the minting of the free to mint FairHEX tokens, they have already been minted. So there are still 2/3 available, but hurry up, because the sooner you join, the sooner you enter, the higher will be your holder share the moment that we transition into the pure staking phase without free to mint tokens. And try to live without Richard Hart as a leading figure, although I love to see him around. I love to hear his advices. And I'm, of course, a fan of his extravagant appearance. And he's for sure not only very well educated, but also entertaining. But on the other hand, we need to live without leading figures. And that would be
I agree. No, I agree with everything you said. I think that's very important. I think that a community, a true decentralized community, cannot be overarching surrounding hierarchy. It cannot be so top down that the entire paradigm of the price structure or the movement of the blockchain or the movement of the money in the blockchain is a result of what one or a few people say or do. I think that's more of an aristocracy. than decentralization by any means of the word. So I agree with you on that. I think it's very important for people to be very vigilant surrounding trading. I think it's very important for people to understand the concepts of unity, like you've conveyed, because without unity, a community collapses, and therefore there's no outreach without a community. I think that these innocuous debates are not needed. And I really resonate with what you've been conveying this entire stream. And for those who are listening to this, I see there's about 37 people on YouTube and about, I think I saw 8 people on Twitter. Please make sure to go to the Twitter. I have the link in the description. Check out the FairHEX website. I have that as well, so check that out. And I also have the Telegram if you're interested in joining. And I want to say, Daniel, I really appreciate your views on Unity, your views on ecosystem, your views on paying homage to the token that has actually made this community what it is today. And I look forward to seeing your project prosper in the future. So thank you for coming on today, man.
Thank you for having me and or having us. That seriously helps the community, and not only the current FairHEX community, also the HEX community in general, because you had this video recently where you talked about the possible future or how you see the situation with HEX and stuff. And we interacted on Twitter, and I think allow me to repeat this actually. It's about not only the adoption of staking, it is the how much is being built to HEX, into the ecosystem, how much is developed into the system, and I think that is, and the unity of the community is important. Thank you for having us on, and appreciate everything.
Of course.
And I love, by the way, I love your career, your sports career. It's like really showing results.
Thank you. I appreciate that, man. I'm doing my best. So absolutely, as the project moves forward, you let me know. You come back on. Just my door is always open. You know that. Thank you so much for being very flexible again. Thank you again for that. I really appreciate it. Guys, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Go in the description and check out the FairHEX links, and I will see you guys in the next stream. So I will see you guys later. Enjoy. Daniel, be well. Have a good Sunday, okay? Thank you.
Enjoy.